Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I got another deck profile for you guys today. So this is actually one I haven't picked up in a long time. It's a fan favorite on my channel. It's actually my Lair of Darkness or Darkest Diabolus deck. Definitely a pretty decent deck, especially one that just basically tributes the hell out of your opponent's monsters as a form of disruption. And yeah, and it's a trap heavy based deck too. So for those who want to play a deck that's really cheap to pick up, honestly this deck is not expensive by any means. I definitely recommend it, especially if you're a new or a returning player, so why not? Alright, so starting off, you gotta be playing 3 copies of Darkest Diabolus. That's just a good card just to rip the card out of your opponent's hand. Also summons itself if you tribute a dark monster you control, so definitely an amazing card. And the fact that he can't be kaiju'd or targeted is another good reason to run it. 3 Liliths, just because, she gives you instant access to all your trap cards, and her ability's quick effect where you can tribute to search out, to do basically what's that card? Pantheism of the Monarchs effect, where you pick 3 traps. Your opponent has to pick one at pure random, and you get to set that card. So it's Trap Trick before Trap Trick even existed. So yeah. Next, 3 Arima. This card gives you access to your Lair of Darkness, and also he has a pretty good effect where if you tribute him, you can draw 1 card or search out a dark monster with 2,000 more defense. So if you need a card that searches out Diabolus, which will then immediately trigger off his ability to summon himself, well, there you go. For the rest of the one-ofs, well, the rest of the cards I have are mostly one-ofs. I got 1 Tour Guide, 1 Sangan, which of course searches out any monster with 1,500 or less attack points from your deck, but you can't activate the effects or until the next turn. So yeah, pretty good. And you got a lot of targets for Sangan, so he's definitely a great extender. Got Skarm, Blackwing's Theme of the Cloak, Armageddon Knight, and then lastly Destrudo. So yeah. And as for hand traps, the only 3 I'm running, just the most generic one, Ash Blossom. You could also main deck Nibiru if you want to. I side out mine just because, it's more of a going second card, and this deck is more of a going first deck, so that's the only reason. But yeah, it's really all about your preference, really. Alright, so now we're moving on to spells. Playing 3 copies of Lair of Darkness turns everything on the field into dark, and at the end of every turn, whenever monsters are tributed, you have to produce a token mandatorily, and depending on whose turn it was, will determine which side those tokens go. So if it's your turn, you get the tokens. If it's your opponent's turn, they get the tokens. So pretty self-explanatory. I'm playing 2 Lair of Darkness just because, I'm running mostly spells and traps, so I just don't want to run the risk of losing my entire hand. 2 Super Poly, considering that everything is going to be dark. You got plenty of Super Poly targets, so that's why. 1 ofs, 1 Terraforming, 1 Rhoda, Dragon Shrine, and of course Foolish Burial, just to get your Darkest Diabolus, your Destrudo, or even your Blackwing's Theme of the Cloak into the graveyard as quickly as you can. So definitely good ways to extend. Alright, so for traps, I'm running 3 Trap Trick, since it banishes 1 trap in order to set a trap of the same name, and you can activate it right away. So Trap Trick just basically acts as a just 3 more copies of Lilith. Basically, that's all this card is. Playing 3 Lost Wind just to negate effects, and it's permanent too. It also cuts down the monster's attack points in half, also permanently. So Lost Wind, a great way of disrupting. 3 Back to the Front just for a revival. And then lastly, 2 copies of Ballista Squad. I'm not really main decking any of my virus cards. I'd rather side them out depending on the matchup, so that's why I'm going it this way. So yeah, but all pretty good, and they're actually easy to side out. So depending on what your matchup is, again, you can side out whatever you want. So yeah. All right, so for the extra deck, I'm running 1 Witch's Apprentice since it's a dark deck. I'm actually running Barricade Board Blocker just to protect your Lair of Darkness. You discard 1 card until the end of this turn. Add 1 continuous spell or field spell from your graveyard back to your hand. And also, as long as this card is on the field, face-up spells you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. So he's a good way for recursion and for, like I said, just for protection for that Lair of Darkness. It was either going to be this or Beat Cop, but I felt like this one was a little bit better because Beat Cop requires you to tribute a monster, whereas Barricade Blocker's effect is just he's more just like a continuous effect, basically. So that's really all it is. But I could always run back Beat Cop if I wanted to. I'm just trying to test this out a little bit more. But yeah. Next up, Power Code Talker just requires 3 monsters, so you can literally just use 3 of the tokens that you produce. 1 Bomber Dragon. I might take this off and just replace it with B-Cop Boral Sword Dragon, just because, like, I rarely make it. Top Logic Bomber Dragon is just the easier one to make out of the two, so I'm still working on my decision on that. For Xyz, I'm running one Levier the Sea Dragon, since, you will be playing cards like Lair of Darkness. Levier just a good way to recur that dark monster that you had to lose. One Hope Harbinger. Hieratic Sun Dragon. For Sinker, since, I'm running a couple of tuners, F.A. Dawn Dragster, Dark Strike Fighter, and of course one of my personal favorites, Cyber's Quantum Dragon. And lastly, for our super poly targets, gotta play the generic ones, of course, starting Venom Fusion Dragon, Predaplant Dragostapelia, and the new Trifeoviridium. Sorry about that. And plus he negates summon, so definitely a great card. And lastly, one Violet Chimera, just for the salad matchup, and that's it. Alright, so that's it for the extra deck. Now we're moving on to the side. The side deck, starting off with Nibiru, and then Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Now, this is actually just a funny card, and it also helps with the time rules. Magic Cylinder, so figured why not. Playing 3 Eradicator Epidemic Virus, and just for any other back-row heavy strategy like Altergeist and Sky Strikers, Heavy Storm Duster. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys again next time.